My aunt was pushed into the river and drowned. When her body was pulled out, it was so swollen you couldn't even tell what she used to look like. The villagers thought it was bad luck, so they tossed her onto the back hill to feed the wild dogs. But the next morning, at dawn, a trail of wet footprints appeared in front of our house. On the table inside, there was a steaming hot breakfast, the kind my aunt was best at making. That morning, she'd gone out to cut pig grass and didn't come back for ages. Our whole family was waiting for her to cook, starving out of our minds. My uncle got fed up, grabbed a metal rod, and stormed over to Lai Daju's place at the west end of the village. "Is that slut from our house messing around with you again?" he yelled. Lai Daju cursed him out, while his wife, Jingxiang, came out of the main room, buttoning up her shirt. "She's dead," Jingxiang said. "Go fish her out of the river yourself." And just like that, my aunt, who'd been missing all day, was dragged up from the water, her body bloated and terrifying. The village chief rushed over when he heard, quickly working out a deal with my uncle, Lai Daju, and Jingxiang. "Liu Kui was drowned by Jingxiang," he said, "but she deserved it. Who told her to fool around with Lai Daju?" He told Jingxiang, "Pay Niu Zhizhai 2,000 yuan, and we're done." My uncle wasn't satisfied. "Liu Kui's dead. Who's gonna cook, wash clothes, and clean for this big family now? You think 2,000 yuan is enough to get rid of me?" They argued until, in the end, Jingxiang and Lai Daju paid my uncle 5,000 yuan, and that was the end of it. All that was left was my aunt's body. My uncle spat. "That little whore gave me a green hat. Whoever wants to handle her funeral can do it. I'm out." He turned and left. My dad, grandpa, and grandma walked off too. I stood behind the village chief, staring at my aunt, scared stiff. Her eyes wouldn't close, staring right at me. I heard the chief say, "A filthy woman like her. Throw her on the back hill for the dogs. Don't let her mess up our village's feng shui." So two guys rolled her up in a tattered mat and dumped her on the hill. I followed along, taking one last look at her. Her face was so horrifying, nothing like the fair, gentle woman she'd once been. Suddenly, I thought her eyes twitched, and it spooked me bad. Later, I convinced myself it was just my imagination. Back home, my uncle was still cussing up a storm, saying she deserved to die for cheating. But I knew the truth. She didn't choose Lai Daju. That day, while my uncle was out, Lai Daju snuck into her room. Soon after, I heard her screaming and crying. That's when the village started whispering about her affair. Watching my uncle rage, I couldn't shake this bad feeling. I glanced back at the door. Night had fallen, and the distant hills were cloaked in thick darkness. The wind rustled the trees, their shadows flickering like circling eagles or howling wolves. A chill crawled up my spine, and I shivered hard. That night, my uncle sat under the lamp with Liu, the matchmaker from the East End, talking for hours. Finally, he settled on someone. "This girl," he said, jabbing a yellowed finger at a photo. Liu glanced at it. "She's a college grad, costs more. You got the money." My uncle smirked. "If I'm broke, I'll just get it from Lai Daju. He's the one who got my wife killed." Liu left, and my uncle grabbed a willow switch, whacking me and barking, "Go cook, you useless thing." He spat at me hard. I rolled up my sleeves, made dinner, and waited while they wolfed it down, stuffing their bellies. After washing the dishes, I curled up in a corner to sleep. I knew full well that, until the new aunt showed up, I'd be stuck handling all the chores, cooking, cleaning, everything. Every day, before the rooster's first crow, I'd drag myself out of bed, sweep the house, cut pig grass, and cook breakfast for everyone. It used to be my mom's job. After she died, it was me. Now that my aunt was gone, it was me again. One morning, as the rooster crowed, I got up, slung a big bamboo basket on my back, and headed up the hill for grass. When I got back, the sun was just peeking over the horizon. Suddenly, I froze. In the still air, wet footprints stretched from outside right up to our front door. My body went stiff, and it took forever to snap out of it. Like something pulled me, I stepped into the yard. On the kitchen table was a hot meal, the same stuff my aunt made us every morning. My uncle and the chief went back up the hill, but the spot where they'd dumped her was empty. My uncle collapsed, scared senseless, because when he woke up that morning, the house was spotless. Fresh water boiled, his stinky socks from last night washed and hung by the bed. Who else but her would do this? He stammered, looking at the chief. "She didn't come back to life, did she?" The chief tried to stay calm, scanning the area. "Wild dogs must have dragged Liu Kui's body off. Let's look around some more. As for your house," he shot me a sharp look. "Kids young but already up to no good, playing tricks to scare people. Wait till you get home, your uncle'll deal with you." My uncle latched onto that, glaring at me viciously. "It's gotta be you, you little brat, just as rotten as your tramp of a mom." I shrank behind a tree, too scared to speak. But I knew it was her. My aunt had come back. She didn't know she was dead, so she cleaned, cooked, and washed his socks. How else could you explain those wet footprints? On the way down the hill, the chief gave my uncle some excuse to ease his mind, but he still looked terrified. I knew why he was so guilty. My aunt's rape by Lai Daju. He didn't just know, he planned it. Lai Daju wanted her, offered 500 yuan, and my uncle said yes. From then on, her life was hell. That's what he was afraid of, her coming back to settle the score. We trudged down the hill in silence, one shaky step at a time. Near the bottom, Lai Daju came staggering toward us, sobbing, tears and snot all over his face. It's over. My wife's gone. Jingxiang had vanished, right under his nose. He said he'd been sitting in the yard drinking tea, listening to folks talk about my house being haunted. Jingxiang went inside to cut him some fruit. He waited and waited, but she didn't come back. When he went to the kitchen to check, it was empty. I was right there by the door, he said. There's only one way and no windows. Where could she have gone? He slapped his thigh in a panic. Jingxiang cost him 300,000 yuan in bride price, but he didn't mind. Her family threw in 500,000 as a dowry. Even if she had a rotten temper, he could put up with it. With her family's money backing him, he could laze around and never run out of cash. Now she was gone, and with her parents' temper, they'd probably rip him apart, especially since he'd cheated on her too. The chief heard this and hurried to Lai Daju's place with him. My uncle, thrilled by the new drama, put my aunt's mess out of his mind and trailed behind Lai Daju, gloating. On the way, they ran into Liu, the matchmaker. My uncle chatted with her a bit. She's already on her way, Liu said. Clean up your place, your new wife's coming. My uncle was over the moon. He figured a new bride might ward off my aunt's vengeful spirit with some good luck. They got to Lai Daju's house, and the chief had everyone search high and low. Not a single hair of Jingxiang turned up. Even the chief went quiet. Lai Daju mumbled, "Should we call the cops?" Before he could finish, the chief kicked him to the ground. You think the damn police won't turn this whole village upside down if they find out what's been going on? Lai Daju, shut up. The whole village turned out to look for Jingxiang, searching until midnight with no luck. Everyone gave up and went home to sleep. Just like that, she vanished from a 20-square-meter kitchen without a trace. For now, they'd stall her parents, tell them Jingxiang went to the city for fun. That night, my uncle didn't dare turn off the lights and downed 2 pounds of liquor. I squatted in the yard, washing his socks and underwear in the dark. My dad sat on the doorstep, watching me coldly. After a while, he stood up and spat at me out of nowhere. I didn't dare say a word, especially since I saw my sister standing behind him, staring at me. 2 women gone in one day, but no one was shocked. Stuff like this happened too often around here. We were used to it. Lai Daju kept looking for Jingxiang. My uncle helped out at first, but he got bored and stopped bothering. Since nothing spooky happened after that night, he relaxed after a while. Then the new wife arrived, a pretty, delicate girl, but kind of slow. You'd talk to her, and it's like she didn't hear you. My uncle spent 30,000 yuan to get her, half of it squeezed out of Lai Daju. The wedding wasn't a big deal. I mean, the bride was a bit dim. That night, during their wedding night, I stood outside the door, waiting on them. If my uncle wanted water or a snack, I had to bring it in. As the night dragged on, I started dozing off. The woman's sharp cries from inside were finally dying down. Half asleep, I felt a tap on my shoulder. My aunt's voice whispered, "Ling, it's late, go sleep. I'll take care of your uncle." I mumbled okay without thinking, took 2 steps, then snapped awake with a shudder. My whole body went rigid. I couldn't turn around. She tapped me again, and cold water trickled down my shoulder. I was too terrified to move. Then a loud thud came from the room, followed by my uncle's cursing. The chill behind me vanished. I spun around, nothing there. Bursting into tears, I shoved the door open and ran inside. The new girl was sprawled on the floor, head bleeding, passed out cold. Blood on a wedding day. Bad omen. But no matter how bad she was hurt, my uncle wouldn't take her to a clinic. He just wrapped her head in a rag and chained her up in a room. Liu, the matchmaker, had told him, "You've got to beat a woman like that into submission, then she'll behave." My uncle took it to heart. He'd beat her day and night. She was injured and still getting hit. I could tell she wasn't gonna last much longer. One day, I brought her food. She was lying there, barely alive. As I turned to leave, she grabbed my ankle with a weak hand. "Little girl," she gasped, "get me out of here. I'll pay you lots of money." I yanked free and bolted. You don't say stuff like that around here. Last person who tried ended up rotting in a ditch a few days later. I wasn't ready to die. Through the window, she stared at me with desperate, disappointed eyes. "Just listen to my uncle," I told her. "Give him a couple of fat sons, and he'll stop beating you." She closed her eyes, hopeless. That night, my uncle went at her again. When he was done, he strutted back to his room, belt in hand, looking pleased with himself. Soon, his snoring roared like thunder. I huddled in my little room, feeling the cold wind seep through the door. Then I thought I saw her, standing outside, wearing that red dress she'd come to the village in. In a blink, she was gone. Thinking she was escaping, I ran out after her, but the yard was empty. Confused, I stood there. Then something flickered behind the window of her room. I grabbed a flashlight and rushed in. If she was running, I'd tell my uncle. Maybe he'd treat me better for it. But inside, I froze. She was still on the floor, exactly where she'd been, pale as death, eyes half open, lifeless. It hit me like a punch. She looked just like my aunt when they pulled her from the river. I crept over, put my fingers under her nose, and a cold dread swallowed me. She was dead. I ran to my uncle's room, banging on the door. I had to tell him now. After ages, the light flicked on, and he grumbled inside. Then came a scream like a pig being slaughtered. The door flew open, and he crashed into me, howling, grabbing my wrist so tight I thought my bones would snap. "Go get the village chief now." "What's wrong?" I stammered. Jinxiang, he muttered, eyes blank. I bolted to the chief's house. The chief came, Lai Daju too. We crowded into my uncle's room, all staring at the bed. There she was, Jinxiang, flat on her back, eyes and tongue lolling out, face purple like a pig's liver, stinking so bad it turned your stomach. Bugs were crawling over her. My uncle cowered in the corner, hugging his head, voice hoarse. How long was she lying next to me? The chief was the first to pull it together. "What the hell happened?" he asked my uncle coldly. My uncle was too shaken to string a sentence together. Then someone burst in, panicked. "Niu Zhizhai's new wife, she's dead too." The room erupted in frantic chatter. "Niu Zhizhai," the chief barked. My uncle jolted, looking up at him, trembling. "You killed someone," the chief said, slow and deliberate. My uncle snapped out of it. "I didn't kill anyone." "I didn't." They dragged the new girl in from outside, limp like a broken doll. When they dropped her, her head rolled toward my uncle. Those staring eyes hit him, and his face went white as a sheet. "I didn't kill her." He scrambled up and ran for the door. The chief yelled for people to grab him, but the ones who chased him came back pale as ghosts. "Chief, his wife's out there." "Niu Zhizhai." That was my dad. He shot up from the floor, his cigarette dropping with a clatter. He was scared just like my uncle, because he knew how my mom died. He'd seen her body. So had I. She'd fallen off a cliff, brains spilled out, limbs twisted beyond recognition. In the dead silence, those two kept shouting, his wife standing outside. "It's haunted, really haunted." "Shut up," the chief roared. "It's dark out, your eyes are playing tricks. Why scare yourselves?" The noisy room went quiet. The chief rolled up his sleeves and went to check. Someone whispered, "What do we do with her?" The chief glanced at the body, then fixed his eyes on me. I flinched as he grabbed me. "You bury her," he said, shoving a dagger into my hand. "Stab her a couple times first." "Why?" I asked, shaking. "You found her dead," he said. "She'll come back as a ghost to haunt you. Stab her now, she'll be too scared to mess with you." I didn't want to, but he got mad. "Niu Ling, you're disobeying me." He glared that bull-like stare I hated most. It was the same look he gave me when they found my mom at the bottom of the cliff. I had no choice. I took the knife and poked at her, but I couldn't push hard, just the tip went in. The chief nodded, satisfied, and led everyone out. I hoisted her onto my back and stumbled up the hill, one heavy step at a time. Her body was cold and stiff, bouncing against me. "Sister," I whispered, terrified. "Whoever wronged you, go after them. Please don't come for me." She didn't answer. Her head just kept thumping against my shoulder. After a while, I couldn't move. My legs felt like lead, like something was grabbing my ankles from below. I started crying. "Sister, I'm scared, don't mess with me." I forced my feet forward, because my uncle and the chief said if I didn't finish burying her, she'd haunt me forever. They even told me to weigh her chest down with a big rock, showed me exactly how to place it. "Sister," I said, "next life, get reborn far away from here. You got unlucky this time." Before I could finish, a sharp screech cut through the air. I looked up. A flock of black birds exploded into the sky. When I came to, her scarred hand was dangling over my chest. It grabbed me like Liu the matchmaker used to, and a raspy voice croaked, "Grown up, ready to marry and carry on the line." I screamed like I'd heard the worst ghost story ever, dropped her, and ran down the hill like crazy. Lucky for me, I soon saw flashlight beams not far off. I raced toward them. The chief, my uncle, and a bunch of others were standing around something, dead silent. I crashed into them, but they didn't even scold me. Panting, I peeked through the crowd and froze in horror. A mangled corpse hung from a tree, wearing the clothes my mom had on when she fell off the cliff. But the face wasn't hers. It took me a minute to figure it out. Liu the matchmaker. That night, they couldn't find my uncle. He'd vanished somewhere. The group circled the village, but it was too dark, so they decided to look again tomorrow. Everyone was on edge. Who killed Liu the matchmaker? Who dug up my mom's clothes and put them on her? And Jingxiang, who dumped her on my uncle's bed. No one knew. They all went home to sleep, but I couldn't go back. My head was full of Jingxiang, the new girl, and my aunt tapping me from behind. The more I thought, the more freaked out I got. So I went to find Kiwi, my playmate, the only other girl my age in the village. I found her in her family's pigsty, snuggled up with a piglet, fast asleep. When I woke her, she looked dazed. After hearing me out, she snapped awake, squeezing the piglet until it squealed. After a long pause, she muttered, "Niu Ling, do you remember your sister?" Of course I did. She tried to help my mom escape, but the villagers caught her and drowned her in the stinking ditch. Kiwi looked at me. When I was sleeping just now, I think I saw her. No way, I said. She's dead. But I didn't sound convincing. My aunt was dead too, but she came home and patted my shoulder. The new girl was dead, but she still grabbed my chest. Kiwi stood up. "I want to find your sister." I grabbed her. "Why look for a dead person?" "Looking for the deadbeats living like this," she said, her voice suddenly fierce. "I saw it on my dad's phone. Girls out there go to school, wear dresses, have their own rooms. Me, I'm stuck serving them, sleeping in the pigsty with my brother. If I even glance at his books, my mom knocks out 2 of my teeth." She gripped my shoulders. "Niu Ling, come with me. We'll go out there, make money, go to school." She looked scarier than any ghost. I bolted out of the pigsty, shaking my head. Kiwi, you can't think like that. If the chief or my uncle finds out, you're done." "I don't care." She seemed set on it, tossing the piglet aside. "I'm asking you one last time, are you coming or not?" I hesitated. I remembered my dad and the chief talking a few days ago. They were gonna marry me off to a 50-year-old cripple from the next village for some bride money. But then I thought, serving my dad's one thing, serving that old guy's no different. Better than getting caught escaping and beaten to death, right? So I shook my head again. Kiwi stared at me, disappointed, and her eyes reminded me of the new girl's. I froze. She stepped out of the pigsty. "Fine, I'm going. See you around, Niu Ling." "Go," I said, dazed. "I won't tell anyone you ran." She gave a cold laugh and walked off. I watched her go, so skinny like a reed but so tough. Suddenly, I rubbed my eyes, thinking I'd seen wrong. I hadn't. A figure appeared beside her, one I knew too well. Soaked through, limping along. It turned, saw me watching, and smiled. For a second, I wanted to chase after her so bad. Then my sister showed up next to her, then my aunt, my mom, the new wife, more and more crowding the path, each holding a baby, shuffling forward, unsteady but determined. Kiwi ran off, but no one cared, because they found my uncle. He drowned in the same ditch where my sister died, eyes wide open, face twisted in terror, like he'd seen something awful. The chief had them pull him out and told everyone, Niu Zhizhai killed someone, so he drowned himself. Keep it quiet, don't let outsiders hear. Since it was just his new wife he'd killed, no one made a fuss. Only Lai Dazhu looked lost, clutching the chief's sleeve. "Did Niu Zhizhai kill my wife too?" "Maybe, maybe not," the chief said, shaking him off, annoyed. "But it was him who killed her." Lai Dazhu started shouting like a madman. "Because my wife killed his, he killed mine." He went nuts, yelling and screaming. The chief ignored him at first, but then Lai Dazhu pulled out his phone, saying he'd call the cops. The chief's face darkened. He scanned the crowd. "You all know, if the police come here, none of us will have it easy anymore." The men exchanged looks, their eyes turning hard. The few women left shrank behind them, heads down, wishing they could plug their ears. The chief stepped forward, snatched Lai Dazhu's phone, smashed it on the ground, then pulled out a rope and tied him to the tree where Liu the matchmaker died. Lai Dazhu didn't get it at first. When the men closed in, he finally snapped out of it. "No, no," he screamed. "I won't call the cops. I swear, Chief, I won't." Too late. The chief's shovel cracked down on his head, and the other men joined in. Hose, sticks, someone even ran home for a kitchen knife. I hid in the shadows, watching. I remembered something my mom once said. The people in this village loved the smell of blood. They were cruel to women, but even worse to men who crossed them. When it was over, Lai Dazhu was a pile of mush. The chief had them bury him right there, then set up a feast on his grave. They drank and ate, laughing to drown out the last 2 days. The chief laughed loudest. I was standing there, and someone tapped my shoulder again, no wet feeling this time. I didn't turn around, I knew who it was. Jingxiang leaned in close, her pale eyeball dangling near my cheek. "Hungry?" she asked. "Want some of the feast?" Her stench made my head hurt, but I nodded. "Want to," I said. She let out a soft laugh. What Lai Dazhu couldn't figure out, I know. After Kiwi left, I went back home. Suddenly, I realized I didn't have much to fear anymore. My uncle, the one who hit me hardest, was gone. My dad didn't care about anything. He wouldn't even blink if he caught me stealing eggs. I slept like a rock at night. Nothing woke me up. so I could sleep in my uncle's bed, that soft, warm mattress I'd always wanted to try. As for the dead, Kiwi was right. After everything I'd seen and been through, they weren't scary. So I lay down and slept. In the middle of the night, a chill woke me up. I turned left, my aunt was there. I turned right, Jingxiang. My aunt was out cold, but Jingxiang was awake. She twisted her crooked jaw back into place with a asterisk crack asterisk, then stiffly turned to look at me. The chief was my old lover, she said. He didn't like that every time a woman died, I'd have to shell out 1,000 or so to cover it up. We fought about it, and when he wouldn't budge, I threatened to call the cops. There's a tunnel under my kitchen. He used it to sneak in for our little rendezvous. That day, I went in to cut fruit. He came up from the tunnel, dragged me down, and beat me to death. Then, while your uncle was in the woodshed, he dumped my body on his bed. He didn't want a murder pinned on him. He's the chief, after all. No one's gonna hold anything over him. Jingxiang said she hated him. She'd get her revenge no matter what. When I died, I wore red, just like that new girl, so I could come back as a vengeful ghost. Want to eat at the feast? It's the chief's feast. If you do, you've gotta help me. I didn't really feel like eating, but then she said, you think Lai Daju was the only one messing with your aunt. Truth is, every man in this village had a piece of her. Why do you think she took so long cutting pig grass every morning? The one who set it all up. The old chief. She sized me up. Niu Ling, you're like her. Big eyes, small mouth, young and fresh. She's gone now, you're next. Scared yet? That's why I agreed to help her. They'd all been drinking at the feast, so they passed out fast. I stepped out from behind the tree, grabbed a chicken leg first. I'd never tasted anything so good. No coarse steamed buns, no salty pickles, none of the slop I'd fought pigs and dogs for. I shoveled it in, nearly choking. Once I was full, I got to work. Jingxiang stood by the chief. She wanted to kill him the way he'd killed her, but she couldn't touch him. She was a ghost now. What's the rush? I said. If I was in, I wasn't holding back. I'd seen people killed before. Ending a life was no different from cutting grass to me. I walked up to the chief. He was still clutching a bottle, a creepy smile on his wrinkled face. Was he proud of himself? Teaming up with Liu the matchmaker, luring girls from outside to the village. If they tried to run, he'd break their legs, pimp them out, or just kill them. He controlled the village's money, so everyone obeyed him. Even the men, whose wives hadn't he touched? How many women here weren't trafficked? I kicked him. It wasn't enough, so I ground my shoe into his face hard. I thought of that night my sister tried to run with my mom. The chief caught them. My 13-year-old sister drowned in the ditch, and my mom was forced off the cliff. She was so young, 22. She told me she was about to graduate college, go for her master's, a bright future ahead. But she got tricked here helping a fake pregnant lady, locked up, beaten, forced to bear kids. Her, my aunt, the new girl, all tortured. These men deserved it. I grabbed a can of gasoline from the house and poured it over them, slow and steady. One spark, and they'd all burn, even if it cost me my life. I fished a lighter from the chief's pocket. As the flame flickered on, I thought of Kiwi. Good she'd escaped this hellhole. She'd make money, go to school, get a job, find someone who loved her, have a kid born from love. In the scorching heat, I grinned. I saw my mom, my sister, my aunt, and all the girls and babies who died here. They gathered around me, arms wrapping me up. I didn't feel the pain, just a strange thrill. Death wasn't scary, not now. Someone called the cops, saying a place called Key Village was up in flames. Folks nearby worried it had spread to the hills, so they dialed 110 and 119. Sirens blared. Nearly every fire truck in town rolled out. It took the firefighters 3 hours to put it out. Lucky it stayed in the village and didn't hit the mountains. Officer Kai Hua tagged along with the team leader to figure out where the fire started. What she saw was like hell on earth. In an open area, it looked like they'd been holding a feast. Charred bodies sprawled everywhere. From how they lay, Kai Hua could almost picture the scene before the fire. Lives snuffed out so easily, it hit her hard. Suddenly, a sweaty rookie cop ran up, out of breath. There's a little girl, she's alive. After the fire was out, they'd been searching for survivors. Hearing a girl made it through, everyone perked up. Kai Hua followed the leader over. Under a big, leafy tree, there she was. A girl, maybe 11 or 12, dirty and dazed. Kai Hua felt a pang for her. She must be terrified. But then, out of nowhere, the girl looked up as they approached and said, I started the fire. I killed them. Arrest me. Kai Hua couldn't believe it. A 12-year-old girl. Why would she burn down the whole village? The girl caught her confusion and gave her a mocking look. A look that stung Kai Hua, like she was the naive one and this scrawny kid had seen it all. The girl stood up. I'll show you something, she said. A crowd followed her up the hill. What Kai Hua saw next was worse than the feast sight. A pit full of bodies, at least 15 of them. Kids, young women, even newborns, all female. The girl stared at them, cold as ice. They killed all these people, she said, pointing back toward the burned village. Everyone went silent. The case got reported fast. The city set up a special team to investigate. Among the bodies, lots matched missing persons reports. It was labeled a trafficking case quick. As for the girl, they took her back to the station. She seemed off. Kai Hua often caught her talking to thin air. A shrink confirmed it later. Hallucinations, hearing voices. The case's outcome started looking clear. A minor with mental issues. What punishment could she face? In the end, they sent her to a psych hospital. Her photo there became the closing shot of this shocking case, quieting the roaring public outcry. Kai Hua felt for her. She visited more than once. Every time, the girl asked, "When's my friend coming to see me?" "What's her name?" Kai Hua asked. The girl hugged her doll, staring straight at her. Wu Kui Grain Kui. Kai Hua's heart skipped. Among the bodies, one little girl's hand clutched a note, scribbled in clumsy handwriting and Pinean. "I'm Wu Kui. One day I'll go to school, read lots of books, and leave this place." 2/3 of it was soaked in blood, but the words were still legible. Wu Kui was long dead. But looking into the girl's eyes, Kai Hua couldn't say it. She lied over and over. Wu Kui's fine. She's in school. She'll visit when she can. But when would that be? Every time Kai Hua left the hospital, she'd cry, thinking, why did they have to suffer like this? She looked up at the white moon, hoping one day the world's ugly evils and evildoers would dwindle, bit by bit. Her chest swelled with resolve. She clenched her fist. This had to be why she wore this uniform. With firm steps, she walked into the dark, to break it with light, to pull the weak out of hell.